This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live with the best father and son team on the internet. It's time for Homie and the Dude.
What is up, everyone? This is Homie and the Dude, the father and son podcast and tabletop gaming network, three of them. We are here today and super excited to have Mason the Dragon Jones, the UFC lightweight contender with a 10-1 record and a warrior's heart. Mason, it is a privilege to have you on the show today.
I know, thanks for having me on. I do wonder where do people pull that one no contest now? Because it's just that weird thing that sort of floats on the end of the record and no one really knows what to say about it. But obviously my last fight was a no contest, so I'm still really confused on where that actually slides in. But it does irritate me. It does irritate me because I really don't know what to do with it. And obviously it was a weird performance start to end.
It's one of those ones where, you know, things can go a little bit sideways, and we've seen it a few times in the most recent months. You know, we saw it with the Jan Sterling fight. You know, we've seen it with the Bilal Muhammad fight with Leon Edwards. You know, these things happen, and sadly, it's something that ends up with, you know, like you said, you were in a dominant position. You felt like you were dominating that fight, and sadly, it ends up being a mark on your record that is, you know, people aren't going to remember you like being in that dominant position and putting that pounding on him for that amount of time, and they'll just see the no contest. But really, you know, the truth of the situation is that was looking like a win for you, and I think especially after your
18 seconds. If it'd gone on for 18 more seconds, I would have had a win. So it is what it is.
It sounds like you've been thinking about it, dude.
Mate, kills me. Just because I know that everything that happened in that fight was mine to control, and it was mine to lose, and it was my mistake that cost me the fight. So these are mistakes I shouldn't be making, and they're still happening. So like I said, just little teething problems to work through.
So, dude, like, obviously something that we really appreciate about you is in every post-fight interview, anything like that, you know, after your first fight in the UFC and the second one, you know, you've been super honest. You've come forward and been like, look, this is what happened. No excuses. I'm going to take it on the chin. In a climate, dude, where you've got other people in your division, you know, especially in the top 5 who it seems like after fights are really struggling with losses, you know, putting a lot of hate on social media and like making up all these excuses and stuff. Why is it so important to you to be so like honest and like straight, no bullshit, no excuses? Like, why does that like resonate with you so much?
There's no excuses in a fight game. Like I've said this so many times, and people say it, but I don't think people really understand what it means. And like when you get down to it, when you're in there, there's no excuses, there's no second doubts. It's if you make a mistake, you lose, and it's as easy as that. And then like at the level I'm at now, a lot of the time it doesn't come down to who's the better fighter. It'll come down to who makes a mistake first. And like people just don't seem to understand that like one of you is gonna make a mistake. It's human nature. Someone's gonna make a mistake on that night. And
thanks for watching this episode. We really appreciate you supporting Homie and the Dude.
Please hit us with the Holy Trinity, like our Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. Just search at Homie and the Dude. It all really helps.
The whole thing about what makes MMA beautiful is the fact that you have to be in control for 15 minutes or 25 minutes, and you can't make one mistake, and you just wait for the other person to. And like it's mental chess. It's definitely mental chess. But for some reason, people have this ego problem where they struggle to just admitting their mistakes. Like people will blame their team, they'll blame other factors, and it's like it doesn't matter. The amount of times I've quoted the Derek Lewis quote. I've still yet to meet Derek Lewis. He's someone I do want to meet, but the amount of times I've quoted what he said, where he said, it doesn't matter whether you feel 40%, doesn't matter whether you feel 80% or 100%. All that matters is that you get the win. And like, if you think back, like John Jones, he's been in what 10 is it 10 or 11 now title fights, all title fight defenses, and the guy's never made a mistake, and that's people who's been training to beat him. So if someone like that can do it, then then I've got no excuse.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing mentality.
I agree. And I think, it really speaks, Mason, to, I'm sure early on in your career, you probably heard people say, at the higher levels of this sport, it's mostly mental, and I'm not sure how much of that you accepted or you understood or you took on early on in your career, but it sounds like you're really now digesting that fully, that this is, once you get to this level, skills, everyone has different little strengths here and there and not a lot of weaknesses here and there. And it's about, being at that point where you can, you can be honest with yourself in the fight, but you can also be appreciating the mental game. So talk about that a little bit. Like what's your journey on appreciating the mental game in this, the top level of the sport?
Well, one thing I'll say before I go into that is like some people don't understand that, like when you every time after weigh-ins and your recovery is different every single time. You wake up and fight day and you're different every single time. Like some days, like my last fight, I woke up the morning of the fight and I felt unbelievably good. And I felt all the way through the day, I felt unbelievably good. And by the time I started warming up, I felt unbelievably sharp. Everything was reacting the way I wanted to. My brain was on task, and I felt unbelievable. And actually, in the fight, I was holding back. I was keeping it at 40%, just because I wanted to make sure I didn't make any mistakes early on. I wanted to grind him out and then look to finish. And like that second round, like I think about it so many times because I was just going in my head, right, time to start putting the pressure on. So as soon as we sort of stood about that exchange, I was really going to start pouring pressure on him and really start chaining the combos together. And then obviously the eye poke happened and ruined it for me a little bit. But like some days you feel like that, we feel on top of the world, and then some days like my debut in UFC, I felt terrible. And you just do. And like I said, like there's never an excuse, but you just have to make it work and you have to force it. So there's that on top of other things. But for me, a lot of like my journey come through judo and like doing an Olympic sport at that level, where you train full time, even as a youngster, and you push in a sport that a lot of people don't understand. And it's such a high level. Like I would go away and there'd be 110 entries just in my weight category alone. So that's 110 people you have to strip down to get the number one spot. So you're looking at 7 fights in a single day, and like it's so cutthroat and so what's the word to use? So well, it's so easy to make little mistakes there, because then like obviously if you go into one fight, if you first fight to a wall, then you have to go into the next fight when you can barely close your hands, and you've got another 6 after that. So like it's sort of it makes you see it from a different view, and this is why I think a lot of Olympic level athletes or Olympic sport athletes do better in MMA than most others. And like I got so used to losing, and people sort of look at me funny when I say that, and they don't really understand what I mean. But what I mean, I got used to losing. I got used to building my expectations and getting absolutely torn to pieces, and then having to rebuild yourself straight after it. Like my UFC debut, by the time I got after that cage, I was at peace with everything that happened, and it was just straight away starting to work to improve. And like people said, like, how did you handle using your undefeated record? And I was like, I've never been undefeated. That's the way I look at it. I've never been undefeated. Nice. Like I've lost so many times over the years. It's just everything's a learning experience. That's the way to sort of keep falling back to, and that's the way to build up on it. And you just focus on what you win with. And like I never felt pressure with that 10-0 record. I never feel pressure when I fight. Like what you see is what you get with me. When you watch my walkouts, you see how much I'm enjoying myself. Like that is me on the surface. Like the whole thing with some people, some people run to the cage, some people will get the walk over as quick as possible and different things. And I just don't understand why, because like I love being there. I love dragging it out, and I love extending how long I'm actually in that limelight for, because that's what I'm born to do, and that's what I really want to do.
Dude, do you know your mentality and the way that you think is why I think you have a good chance at racking your way up that lightweight division and getting yourself into that top 10 really quickly, dude, because you know what, you said something really interesting about, you know, that constant loss and that like having to build yourself back up. And I did martial arts as a young kid, and I competed for like a couple of championships and stuff, and it was that whole like your heart breaks, you know, and then you have to refine some of that strength to get back in there and do it. And now I'm a skateboarder, and I feel that every time I fall over and I'm trying a trick and I can't land it, and it's that, you know, failing and getting yourself back up teaches you how to deal with adversity. It teaches you how to, you know, be that like that powerful weight moving forward. And do you know what, dude, you said, you know, what you see is what you get with me. It's so true, dude. When we're watching your fights, like, you don't look nervous, you don't look like you're shaking, you don't look apprehensive. Like, you know, a great example is Jose Aldo versus McGregor. So tense, like you could literally see it. Like the dude's shoulders were like clenched up, and like you're so relaxed, you're so calm. And I think as well as that, dude, you can see that in your fighting style. The amount of pressure you put on people, the fact that you are constantly moving forward in their face shows that you just love it, that you're in there and you're enjoying yourself. Again, you know, there's other people who, you know, there's other people I would definitely say over the years have looked like they don't enjoy getting hit. You know, I don't want to slander the amazing chosen one, Tyron Woodley. He's an incredible fighter who was an amazing champion. But in his latter fights, it looked like he wasn't enjoying, you know, getting in the scraps and doing it, you know, the way it has to be done. And I think your mentality really shows in the way that you fight, dude. So it really comes across, both, like you said, in your walkouts, but then even when you're in the cage, you know, throwing your combinations and looking like a badass, putting on that, you know, and we talked about this, that almost Diaz brother, like, dude, you do. And you put that pressure on people, dude, that is unbelievable. It's like, it's a Diaz brother level of pressure. Like we're constantly blown away by how you're just constantly moving forward. It's crazy, man.
Well, one of the conversations I've had in obviously the house I'm staying in, because obviously Chris Gonzalez is the guy I'm staying with. He's Bellator fighter. He actually fought on Saturday night, and then his girlfriend is obviously Jessie Jess, who fights in the UFC. And I remember we had a conversation, me and Jessie, and she said about how people in the gym always ask what their why is, and because obviously knowing why you fight is something to have, and something you really need to have in a fight game. And like we had a conversation because like she was sort of the same as me. Like I just fight because I love the violence of it. Like I excel in the violence and savagery. Like I'm not gonna sort of try and break it down. Like I'm not a martial artist. I've done this sport since I was 7. My girlfriend's done the same. Oh, she's competed since she was 5 back home, and she's a martial artist. I'm not. I'm in it purely for the fights, and I'm in it purely for the violence. And like I have no intentions of ever coaching. At the moment, it's just not something I ever want to do. I don't have that drive to sort of try and make the sport better and try and sort of help other people. I'm purely in it because I love the violence, and I'm purely in it for a bloodbath, and that's the way it is. And as crazy as that sounds, it's just the way I've always been. And my parents found martial arts for me because I needed help to channel, and I needed ways to sort of deal with my mindset and different things I had. And like I'm the calmest person you'll ever meet, and I'm calm all the way through, and I'm always calm because I love every second of it. I love the weight cut, as harsh as it sounds and as horrible as they are, and every second you struggle for and every second you hate it. I love that. I love making weight. I love the recovery. I love the walk. I love the walk. The only second on fight day that I'm not that fussed on, and the one that does my head in, is when you're going to announce. So if it's Buffer or whoever it is announcing you, and they like do all the background, and then you sort of stood there and you're pacing in the cage, and you're like, look, just shut the cage and just let me go, because you don't know what to do. Like, do I look? Do I keep strolling? Do I give him like an angry look? And you're like, oh, dude, I mean, I'm gonna beat the smoke out of you in a second. So, like, and it's like that 10-minute window. And title fights even worse because they pull you to the center and they get touch gloves and everything, and then they're talking to you and explaining different things. You're like, look, I've done this so many times. It's like, just let me go. just shut the door and let it go. But yeah, it's the chaos. Like, I love the chaos, and it's embracing the chaos, and that's like I've skydived, I've drove motorbikes, drove cars, scuba dived, snowboarded, surfboarded. I've done loads of stupid and mad things, and nothing gives me the buzz the way fighting does, and nothing makes me feel as alive as being in there with some guy who's trying to murder you. And no matter how you strip it up and how you drive it down, like, that's the way it is. Like, they're not trying to submit people; they're trying to break things. They're not trying to put them to sleep. Like, you're trying to put someone in the ground, and that's what a lot of people struggle to believe, and that's the thing that a lot of people they struggle to understand. But it's savage nature, and humans are savage as heart. And if you channel that and you expel it in the correct ways, then it's beautiful to see. Metal chess,
Dude, do you know what, a couple of things that you've said, I really liked what you said earlier, and I really love what you just said then about you're in it for the beautiful savagery, dude. And I think, some people, you look at, definitely like you said, there's martial artists, and like you got like Daniel Cormier, who I would consider like a martial artist. The guy's trying to teach, and he's like doing all of, progressing wrestling. And all. Yeah, exactly. And, I think it's one of those things, dude, where there's certain people who are warriors, and like you said, certain people who are martial artists, and you're in there to just roll. And again, dude, it comes across in the way you fight. It's chin down, head forward, and just like, and beautiful combination.
Do that now. My boxing coach keeps telling me off for that. my UFC debut, because I felt horrendous, and like nothing would work, and it was just sort of like, it was like trying to ride a bike with one wheel. But I remember my boxing coach would come back to the corner, and he was like, look, he's like, get your feet moving and get your hands up. And I was like, look, I just can't. I was like, it's not working. And he was like, oh, well, he said, if you're going to go forward, he was like, at least try and keep your hands up, he said, and just try and get some rhythm in your feet. He said, but just get your hands up. And I was like, yeah. Straight back in, hands down, chin up in the air. Like, it's just stupid. It was stupid. But you look back on it, and like, even in there, it wasn't that I wasn't listening, and it wasn't that, like, my coaches are fine that afterwards when we spoke through it, because it wasn't I wasn't listening to what they were saying. I just physically just couldn't get my feet moving. Like, my legs were so dead. And then my arms were so open, and I was just eating shots I didn't need to eat. And it was just like one or two things I could have improved on, and I would have won that fight. And in the end, I still come close. It was just, I did a lot of stupid things that sort of had me down. And like anyone else, there was 1% would have been over. So, do you mean you just go back and build back up? And like, the way I look at that fight is that's the worst I've ever felt in a fight. And it's still, I still come close to beating someone who's very, very good. So yeah, we learned, we improve and we learn. And my last fight, again, I was levels above that, and every single time I improve, I'm levels above it. So
to that point, Mason, this concept of you love to mix it up, you love the chaos. I also see another element in there that's hugely in your favor, has been in the fights that we've seen, which is your incredible cardio. Like, you are, dude, you're, that style with your tank is formidable, because, whatever you do skill wise is imposing damage, but then also your pressure is mental damage. It's relentless mental damage. And you can see dudes break, man, and it happens quick. Like, you can be in it with someone, and then, it can just be at some point you can see them pull the plug, and they're just like, you know what? I don't know, like, how long he can do this, and I'm pretty sure I know how long I can, and I'm guessing that he can do it longer than I can. And you can see them check out. Certainly in a few of your Cage Warriors fights, that happens.
It's definitely, and it seems to happen a lot, dude. When you get people in that tie clench, like, you just rain hell upon people from the tie clench, dude, and you can see it breaks people, like, it breaks them mentally, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. But dude, talk us through your cardio routine. Talk us through like what kind of cardio work you're doing, because the gas tank is unbelievable.
Mate, mostly it just comes down to mental. Like we've talked about this before, and like everyone trains hard for a fight, and it all comes down to like people have this stupid mentality sometimes of thinking like, oh, I have to be ready for 15 minutes. Like I need to watch what I'm doing because of my output for different things. Like I'll get tired in 5 minutes. All I got to do is literally I have to do 5 minutes as hard as I can 3 times, or 5 minutes as hard as I can 5 times if I need to. Like that's all it is. Like I will go crazy for 5 minutes, minute recovery, and I'll be ready to go again for the next 5. And like it all comes down to mental. Like that, Aaron Elkins is another one. If you watch Aaron Elkins' fight in the weekend, we've talked about this him. Like a lot of time, it doesn't matter what you do physically to prepare. It's like it obviously makes a massive difference. Do you mean like the training, the running, the pushing yourself in training is all the same, but it all comes down to mental a lot of the time. Like it's just knowing that you can push again, and like when your body's feeling it, you're struggling to breathe and your arms are dead, and just knowing you've got another 2 or 3 minutes to push hard. And if you are not going to do it, then they are. And again, it's just pushing. It's just all mental. But physically, I've always had that sort of style where I'll just relentlessly crack at you until you break. And like I just train that way. I compete that way. The way I do my fitness work and my conditioning is all the same way of long distance. We've been doing a lot more sort of short term, like more short sprint work. Because I've always been sort of low on the fast twitch fiber side of things. So we've always been doing a lot more fast twitch stuff, trying everything firing. But I mean, it is definitely mental. Like you can be as fit as you want. You can take a marathon runner in there, and they'll still gas, because it does come down to that mental push and being able to just overcome it.
And dude, in those moments when you're like needing to draw on something, when you're sat in your corner, you know, after the second, or you know, at the beginning of like the 4th or 5th, and or you know, you get cracked, you know, there was one good shot that Mike hit you with during your debut. Like when you're in those moments, what are you drawing on? What are you mentally like pulling out? What are you saying to yourself in those moments, dude? Because like you pull yourself out of it and you come round and get yourself to a better place. But what do you actually, what goes through your head in those moments?
So believe it or not, like I've never needed to sort of give myself a second reserve. Even like the Mike fight. So that was the shot he caught me with, is when my gum shield come out. So actually, I got hit with a shot, and my whole left eye just flashed white. And I didn't understand why. And when I watched it back, and obviously speaking to Mike after the fight, I'm sure his that shot when he caught me, his thumb went in my eye, because he actually broke his thumb in my eye socket.
Wow.
So so the two of us had a second where, like, because I couldn't understand. I've never been hit by a shot where my whole eye just went white, and like you numbed so much stuff in there. And when I watched it back, it's way through the shot, his thumb got sort of caught in my eye. My gum shield fell out, and then I looked at the ref to sort of see if he was going to stop the gum shield, and Mike sort of stepped in, and we went on another trade. But like I don't know, I love these situations. Like even the Castro Famela fight, if you watch that one back, like that was a bad performance of mine as well. But he come out with a crazy pace and sort of hit me everywhere for about 2.5 minutes. And even in that, like the only thought I remember going through my head is you need to change the momentum. And that's it. Like he caught me with a body shot, then he followed up with a big right hand, and then I was thinking was, you just need to change momentum. So it's just little things that you can change. So like I tied him up, hit him with some shots, sort of sucked the air back in a little bit, and then I started to change around. And because people can only hold out for so long. Like you can only sprint for so long, and then it's the other person's turn. So it was you just wait and you find your moment, and then you take a chance. And this is again, that's why I like the fight game so much. It's such a beautiful sport. Like when you look down it, like a lot of people only see the blood of violence, but when you look deeper into it, and you see all the minuscule movements and the tiny little differences, and the way people's feet, the way people plant their feet, the way people outstep people, the way they close distance, the way they manage distance, the way they line up the perfect shot. And then the other way is, of course, is where they lull people into a false sense, and then they just catch you in that one sweet spot. And there's so many beautiful things about fighting. And it was the same when I boxed, it was the same when I did judo, and it was the same in MMA. And it's just so many beautiful things to see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking about, like, you know, I'm trying to link some things up, and here's a little theory I have, dude. Completely unscientific, so challenge it if you'd like. But I reckon the fact that you are so comfortable in the chaos, you know, that space where you haven't been able to replicate it in sports, in skydiving, anywhere else, like that heat, that real heat that so many other people, like 99% of other human beings, run away from that, right? You're comfortable there. That, to me, is one of the reasons why you have so much gas, because so many other people expend their gas in stress, right? They're stressing out in that situation, feeling the pressure, getting hit, and all of that. You know, stuff is leaking out, right? Energy's leaking out. For you, that's your comfortable space. That's your happy space. And so, right? So I have like, my theory is that those things are quite linked together. Any thoughts on that?
100%. Like, even the gym you train with, you'll train with guys, and they'll be the best people you'll ever train with in the world. I had a guy in the judo when I was going through the judo team, and like, I seen him beat world champions and Olympic gold medalists, and then the guy would turn up the competition and get beat by 32-year-old part-time dads, and it just does make sense the way some people compete, but some people just crumble under pressure. And for me, like, I always fight at a completely different spectrum than I train. And it's just because, like, when I'm training, I'm enjoying it and I'm just sort of being friendly in there. Whereas when I'm fighting, it's just it's literally just dancing in the chaos, and it's just trying to be and embracing that most violent form of yourself. And it's just about being. So one of the things I got told when I was a kid that I really liked and really sort of struck with me was the mentality of the dragon, which is the whole reason my fight name came about. And it's you keep all the fire in your belly, and you keep ice cold in your head, and you look at things as a psychopath, and you break things down, and you do it without emotion, and then you just channel everything. And that's the way it has to be. Like, it's not about someone hits you with a big shot and then you'd be like, oh, I need to hit him back with a big shot, because you end up getting into that catch-22 where they just draw you into a firefight, and they're always one step ahead. It's about sort of leading the dance and trying to make them fall into one of your traps. So, like, you'll catch them with a shot, trying to make them shell or try and make them open up, and as they do, then you catch them over the top. So you time it that as they're throwing, you're catching them in the sweet spot, and that's how you knock people out. And it's the same with takedowns. You'll catch them with a massive shot, and as they come to throw something back, you'll time underneath, or you'll time it so that you catch it on their way in. Or again, same with subs. You'll find that gap. You'll keep pressure on, and you'll just keep applying pressure, and until they pop. Because especially in most positions in MMA Jiu-Jitsu is different to anything else, because it's more pressure. You just literally you put them in an uncomfortable spot. You keep raining down punches, and then you just keep waiting for them to give you something, for them to find a way out.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I was thinking about how you have these two different mentalities. One is the sort of leading up to a fight. Once you step into a fight, there's that whole, like, it's almost a different part of your personality. And then there's the training part where you, like you said, you're a little bit more lighthearted. You're finding some fun elements in there. There's a team aspect. There's all this other stuff. There's some guys, dude, that are finding ways to improve a lot in between fights. So the guy that comes to mind is Kamaru Usman. You look at him and it's almost like he's taking big jumps between fights. His striking now is like, well, we'll find out how much of an advance that has come through with his next fight in November. But how do you do that? Like, how do you distinguish yourself? Because other fighters don't. Other fighters sort of kind of stay in shape, and they're sort of just keeping their stuff mostly in tune. But as far as developing, that all happened maybe earlier on in their career, and they're sort of plateaued, and they bring themselves to a conditioning level, and they go in with what they have. To improve, how is that? And this might be through Alpha Male or through your own personal perspective, but what's your journey on improving between fights?
So for me, morning. The biggest jumps I've had is literally by changing what I do, and as simple as it sounds, is as complex it is, because like sometimes you'll go through things and you'll go through routines and you'll go through your training programs, and you're just sort of doing the same sort of things, and it's straight steam. It's sort of like narrowing things down and finding what you need to improve on and working from there. But then on the general side of things as well, like leading up my last fight, I was doing a lot of drilling with Andre Fili and Mike Malott. Mike Malott is going to be fighting soon, and Andre Fili obviously fights in the UFC. Andre had been out to Dana's Death Squad and was doing a lot of more focused MMA drills, jiu-jitsu wise. We were drilling a lot, and a lot of the wall drills we just running through a different wall system that we're using. And like the wall system, after I took Alan down, old Paddy down, that was what I ran, and that was what I used to keep control of him all the way through. And it was just raining elbows down on the same side of his face and trying to open that cut up as wide as I could. And like that was the way I found to improve. The striking side of things, for me, I found what works was is play sparring with some high level guys. So like me and Andre will have unbelievable rounds because we're both trying to catch the other person clean, and it's just about time and different things. Like there was a Korean who's been sparring here, Ok. He's the risen number 5 at lightweight, and me and him had some unbelievable scraps, and his striking was unbelievably fast. But you just sort of try and lull him into these false senses and try and find the gaps. And like people, there's right ways to spar, in my opinion, and there's wrong ways to spar. And a lot of people do as these sparring rounds where they literally just try and hit each other too hard, and they try and do these things, and it's not. It's about trying to make people fall into these traps and lay in these traps, and not about just running head first into each other and seeing which person falls down first. But for me, like, I don't think there is a concrete answer to what people like Usman doing, because it's all individual, and it's all individual improvements. And it's finding the right type of thing, because like if I'm fighting Usman, I'm not gonna go in there and sort of train. How do I say this? Like if you fight Usman, you're fighting George Masvidal, you're not going to train for the same fight. You're going to train for completely different fights, and you're going to you're going to look to improve in different ways. Like if you look at like people like Khabib on his run through, like the way he sort of fine tuned his fight, he did the same game plan for every single one of his fights all the way up till he retired, and he had fine tuned that for years. And when he got to the UFC, he changed it and fine tuned it again. There was less lifts and more drag downs, is more just dragging people to the ground and sort of binding and applying pressure. And like it does work. This one single system does work, as long as you fight someone who can't stop it. And that's the thing. And like it is that I do like to watch fighters, especially in my own weight, and sort of plan and think how to beat them. And like you think about Habib so many times, and like the only way you're going to beat him is by making him uncomfortable, and you have to take him out of his comfort zone. And the only person I know who really did a good job of that was McGregor at the start before he gassed out. And then you look at there was who's the
Gaethje in the first couple minutes. Gaethje in the first couple minutes with those like.
I think Gaethje looked too tense in that fight, and even though he cracked him hard, like Gaethje was just too mobile and trying to run around. Alec Quinn did a good job on short notice. And then he fought a wrestler who did really good. I can't remember who it was. There's someone was it Michael Johnson? It might be Johnson, where he sort of struggled with at the start because his wrestling was so good. And it's these things. Is like people always went out and they fought in the same way. And like for me, looking back on them, like I think if McGregor had gone out there and just tried to hit his head off his shoulders and worry about anything else, I think he probably could have clipped him. But again, it's these what if questions are so hard to figure out.
And do you know what, dude? It says a lot about your confidence in your training partners and stuff like that. And you talked about wrong and right ways of sparring. I wanted to ask you, like what give us like an idea of what kind of percentage, if like in the octagon you're at 100, and if on the mats, what kind of percent are you putting into your sparring? What kind of level are you pushing yourself to in your sparring?
I don't know, with some of my training partners here, it is probably about 100% because like one of my main training partners out in Alpha is a D1 wrestler who literally just is constantly taking me down and trying to put me on my neck all the time. So like with these guys, it's just you literally just sort of you're just trying to survive and you're just sort of trying to improve every time. And my wrestling defense has gone through the roof, which showed in my last fight. But no, like to be fair, it's hard to quantify when it comes down to that, because like some days you'll turn up and you'll feel 30% and you'll spar really well, and other times you'll turn up and you'll feel 100% and the spar will move really bad. But like the way we break it down is when you fight, you always fight better. Like you always gain about 10-20% because like you have the adrenaline, you have the other side of things. Like you're always stronger by the time you fight. You're always faster. After I do the weight cut, I always feel so much better. Like even when I fought for the welterweight title, we still did a cut because I still, even though my weight would have been okay, we still did the normal weight cut we would have done, and then just sort of drew it back early because the way we recover from it and the way we cut from it just makes me perform a lot better. And in that fight, I performed decently well. So it's trying to find what works for you and trying to replicate it every single time so that you perform at a high level every single time. And it's hard to do right.
Yeah, dude. Another one is, you know, you're down at Team Alpha Male with these straight killers that you're, as you put, you're trying to survive against. But you've also got another lovely little Welsh person. You got Corey McKenna there with you as well. What are the chances that you have two people from Wales competing in the UFC in one gym together? That's pretty awesome. Do you enjoy that? Do you guys hang out?
We speak a lot, yeah, in the gym. Mainly just taking the piss out of the Americans and the way they can't understand anything we say. But yeah, Corey's a savage. Yeah, and she's been training there a while. I originally got out Team Alpha because a friend of mine and training partner in Nad Naramani was training out there. Obviously, Nad is Bristol, so just over the border. But Nad was training out there for a long time until he started having a bit of visa issues. So that is how I got involved with it. But yeah, it was just Corey lives out there full time now. Corey's got a really good relationship in the gym with a lot of the fighters. But yeah, she's a straight savage, and I'm really looking forward to her fight on September 18th.
Yeah, I mean, so are we, dude. We're really excited for that as well. Dude, I mean, absolutely incredible. I mean, it seems, dude, like your headspace is unbreakable. Like you're honestly, I mean, I'm excited for you to get back in the ring. Do you have anything on the horizon? Or have you got anything in the works? Anything that you can talk about?
Well, all I keep doing is asking Sean for a fight. So we're looking at some dates in the next couple of weeks, but is nothing's concrete, nothing's tied down. Like they haven't even. Normally, you'll get promised a date on a card, and then they'll find you an opponent, and then you'll do everything to do with that. Or they'll offer you a short notice fight against a certain person on a date. But for me, I haven't really heard anything apart from they were trying to get me on the London card, and then obviously all the problems we're having with London to do with the COVID and different things, bloody COVID. But yeah, it's just it's weird at the moment. So it's just that waiting game, and I just want to get one more fight out before the end of this year, so I can make sure that I finish on a win and I can get my final fight. It's cool. It's
all good. It's all good.
They're all playing and attacking each other.
Dude, I mean, obviously, dude, we would love to see you get that win by the end of the year, dude, and that would be absolutely incredible. And we have full faith that you will do. I wanted to kind of round the interview out and ask you a personal question for me, dude, because we're as much as we love MMA and we love seeing people punch each other and the beautiful art, we're also huge fans of tattoos, and you have some gorgeous tattoos. I wanted to ask you, dude, what's your favorite tattoo, and like what's maybe like the longest you've sat in the chair for?
The longest I sat was it was a 7-hour sit-in, but I didn't make it. I made it about 6 and a bit. My girlfriend was sat there laughing at me, taking the piss out of me, telling me that I was I was a girl and I couldn't take it. But I don't really like sitting for longer than 3 hours. Mainly because after 3 hours, I can still fight and I can still go train afterwards. So if I do a 3 hour tattoo sitting, I can just cover it with a cotton sleeve and put a rash guard on and go and train. Anything longer than that, and you start getting tired and struggling. But my favorite tattoo so far, the dragon on my arm was probably one of my first, but I also had this done on my palm.
Oh wow!
The
Om
it's the Om symbol. It means soul. But every one of my tattoos has some meaning behind it, and it's something that I sort of liked and the way I planned out. And then I send ideas to my tattooist, and he puts an idea together, and we go with that. But everything has like different pagan religious meanings to it, or the different things that people actually believe at one point. So like I'm doing a Greek leg sleeve at the moment because like I like the fact that people actually believe in a lot of those things. And like I got Medusa on my knee because Medusa turns people to stone, and then I got a Hydra down my foot because the bite of Hydra is supposed to be incurable. So the lot of things I like that. And like my back tattoo, obviously it's a skull with two ravens and loads of Norse compasses tattooed on the skull. And one of them is like protection from drowning. So apparently if you have that tattooed on you, you can't drown. Another one, the Helm of Ore, supposed to be invincibility and different things. And the things that people actually believed in at one point. Like the ravens are a symbol of thought and memory to do with Odin's havens. But then they're also cross-referenced to different things as like the collectors of the dead. The Morgan's havens will turn up on the battlefield to collect the dead. And like I love the sort of meaning behind things and the history behind things, and I love mythology for that reason, because they're things that people honestly did believe in at one point, and just blows my head.
Not only did they believe in them, dude, but they drew power from them, right? So it's almost like this symbolic thing, whether it's something that's on your skin or something that, Native American Indians had this pouch of totems that were, before they went into war, they would take these certain things, whether it was a stone or a feather or a, little piece of bone or something like that. And they connected to that. And it seems like you're making those same connections with your ink. And dude, like that is,
I love it.
It's freaking real. I freaking
love
real.
it, dude.
Like,
yeah.
If you're making that connection and it's working for you, and that's, whether that symbol is creating a feeling of fucking Medusa is going to turn some shit to stone, and that's right on my knee. That's pretty cool.
I just like the cross preferences. Like I'm not a big nutcase who believes in stuff like that. Like the other thing, like one of my coaches has been telling me for years, is never do I have a routine or rely on things. So like some people have like they'll only wear like a certain pair of boxes to fight in, or they have to wear this gum shield thing. Like I'll fight with a bit of tissue in my mouth and some socks wrapped around my hands. Do you know what I mean? You just got to be fight no matter what. And like again, that's our Olympic sport mentality of it doesn't matter where or when, it just matters about getting that win and grinding a win out. And anyone who's done Olympic sport has sort of have come across that, where like I've won fights before where I've been losing all the way through. In the last 3 seconds I choked a guy out, and like you just have to find a way to win. That's all that matters, is finding that way to win.
Dude, I love it. It's through and through. You're a straight up warrior, a savage, happy to fight with tissue and socks. That's the one I have never heard before, and I think is one of my favorites. And do you know what, as well, coming away from this, dude, you said something that might be one of my favorite things I've ever heard about MMA and has resonated with me massively. Because we've always considered it, it's outskilling someone, it's someone like trying to outwork them. But I love what you said towards the beginning of this interview about it's whoever makes the first mistake. It's about two amazing athletes, and it's the first one to make the mistake that's when the slippery slope begins. And thank you so much, dude, for saying that and joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Dude, I'll throw it over to you. Go for it. Shout some things out that are going on in your life, some sponsors and things like that. Give a shout out to some people that are important.
So social media first. My Instagram is at MasonJones95. Check me a follow. Obviously, we've got the YouTube page where we just blog as we go through the days, which is Mason Jones MMA. And then obviously my Twitter is Mason Jones 1995. I'm on Facebook as well, but I don't really do anything on Facebook. Sponsors, another one. SD Sealants, Watches of Wales, PP Builders, CCS Scaffolding. They're all big sponsors of mine. Sammy Fightwear, supported since the start, and there's a couple other things on the horizon that I've got planned, and I've in talks to sort some big things out. So thanks for all the support back home, and well, support across the world now. So it's starting to get somewhere.
Yeah, man. Well, we're here in Bristol, loving you and supporting you, man. So thank you, thank you so much.
Not far.
we're just right across the channel. One last thing, Mason. We've done these with a bunch of people, and you know, sometimes you get people that are hyping stuff and wanting to put some sort of pose up or some sort of, like, you know, message or something like that. It's really, really refreshing to have you come on and just talk authentically to us. It doesn't happen very much in the sport. And for us, we really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure people that are watching this appreciate it. It's super refreshing, dude, to have
your professionalism, the way you articulate yourself, dude. It's thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to spend time with you. Nice
to talk to people who can understand what I say. So it's nice change from America. You know what
I mean? Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll round it off here for us at Homie and the Dude, guys. If you can hit us with the subscribe on YouTube, the like and follow on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. That is the holy trinity for us. Otherwise, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys. Mason, thank you.
We're chugging through. We're loving doing this stuff for you guys. If you want to support us, if you want to make sure that we can keep getting, you know, better quality set, better quality lights, make the filming better.
Bigger batteries for the camera.
Bigger batteries for the camera.
Yes.
You know, all that kind of stuff. You can do that by just liking, following the page, and subscribing to the YouTube channel. That is what really makes a difference to us.